Spy Call is a feature that's available in the OTA spy apps from ProSpy.app that enables you to listen to a call. You can actually dial right into that call and make yourself part of it. And the other person would not be hearing you. You would effectively have your voice on mute. So think about this. Your, I don't know, spouse is having a conversation with somebody. You're not entirely sure they're on the phone, but you have a good idea. So using Spy Call, which again is available at ProSpy.app, you can now call that phone because this is the way it works. The app creates a remote connection with the phone over the internet using Wi-Fi, cellular data, Bluetooth, whatever's available. You don't need to have the phone to be anywhere near it. It uses the Wi-Fi connection or internet to basically create a handshake between the two. So this way they're a union. They're now connected and they can exchange information. Once that happens, you could send a command to that phone that goes in the background and telling that phone to basically allow you to become part of the conversation. It's a technical thing. I don't really want to get into explaining exactly how it works, other than to say, when you send that command, you're essentially calling the phone. Nothing rings on the other phone. Nothing does anything at all. You now become part of that conversation as a third party. But the other people, the two people on the phone, are not going to be able to hear you. Now, you can also do this, the spy call thing, by secretly or remotely activating the microphone. This is another feature that are available in the OTA apps that are offered in ProSpy.app. And what this does is, by virtue of the same command or very similar command, you can now activate the microphone. So let's just say, for instance, I'm sitting here and my phone is right next to me. Whether it's face up, face down, makes no difference at all. If someone was connected to my phone and they sent that secret command, they're going to activate the microphone just the same way as if this microphone was activated. And now they're going to be able to hear everything that is said within this studio, within this room. So if I have my phone, say, on my passenger seat or in the cup holder of my car, and someone connects in that way, they're going to be able to hear what's going on in the car. And it really is amazing. It's a very, very powerful feature, one that really is kind of reserved for law enforcement. And, but there are a lot of people who find themselves in situations where spy call or remote microphone activation is basically an answer to their prayers, because all they really want to know is the truth. They want to hear it. They want to see it. So this way they can begin to move on, at least. It's being stuck in that lurch, in that, the whole, just not knowing. You're just I can't think of the word that I'm trying to find here, that I'm trying to say, but basically you're in limbo. That's what it is. You're in limbo, excuse me. And all people want to know is the truth. They're hoping that what they're suspecting is not true, but in most cases it is true, because I'm a big believer in intuition, in gut, and also in karma. And I do believe that people will eventually get what they have coming to them. So when your gut is telling you something's not right, you see it in their behavior, you just feel it, you feel that emotional distance, something more than likely is not right. And this is why people turn to the spy call. They turn to the remote microphone activation. They also turn to GPS location on demand. Now, this same thing through ProSpy.app, this thing can also accumulate and extract the GPS current location and the history. So all you have to do now is send another secret command, very similar to the other two, and now you'll be able to get that phone's GPS location on demand. Now, if you want to get that phone's GPS history, where it has been yesterday, the day before, then you would go to a thing, you could use a service just like this lady used called InstantID.io. And Instant ID is one of these websites where it's a GPS locator. So it's basically a web-based service that uses artificial intelligence to locate a phone. And what this thing does is really quite amazing. They just did a complete overhaul with it. So you go to the website, instantid.io, you enter the telephone number into the search bar. It gets you the approximate location. And when you do this, nobody's going to know that you're searching their location. Nobody's going to know that you are acquiring their GPS location. So when you get into your dashboard, you can also get the exact location of that phone simply by tapping a button. Then you can move on to live location streaming, which is watching that phone move on a Google map in real time. As it moves, you will see that GPS marker move. But most of all, and this is what people find most valuable about instantid.io, it's the only one that will be able to get you the GPS history. And this is how it works, okay? People need to realize, they need to understand, they need to accept that their phone is basically a tracking device. Every single minute of every single day, your phone is broadcasting a tracking signal that is picked up by whatever app happens to be on your phone, or whatever application or system is seeking access to your phone. And most of the, or some of them, some of the apps that are on your phone right now that are tracking it. And if you want to find out, go get yourself this program called Spy Wiper Pro. It's called ProSpy.app. Just download it to your phone. It will tell you every single app on your phone right now that is currently tracking and storing your location. And I guarantee you will be surprised. You will be. The weather app, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox, any kind of gaming app or a shopping app, anything at all, will be gathering and storing your GPS location. And that's what InstantID.io does. When you enter the telephone number into that system, it uses artificial intelligence to locate that telephone over the internet. And then once it creates that handshake between their system and that phone, that's when it begins to access the GPS location history that is readily available in Google Chrome or any of the other apps I just mentioned. And you can go as far back as 90 days. We've seen this, maybe even farther. It all depends on the storage capacity and what you have Google Chrome set to, or what. And there's also other apps in your phone. It's also in the metadata that goes back probably years. So there are so many different ways that InstantID.io can obtain and gather and track a phone and then make it available to you, that it's just, there's really no way you can miss. And you'll see this thing. You'll get latitude and longitude into your dashboard. So you're logged into your dashboard. You see latitude, longitude, say, I don't know, from June 5th of just this year. You click on the latitude, longitude. It does its work, and it shows you exactly where that phone was at that time as a push pin on a Google map with the street address, the city, the state, and the zip. And you can go back as far back as whatever's stored in that phone. People ask, okay, how am I going to know how much is stored in the phone? Well, guaranteed it's at least 30 days. I mean, I'd be willing to guarantee that it's at least 30 days. Again, it's going to vary based on settings, but most people don't even know this type of stuff is taking place on their phones, so they're not going to adjust any of the settings to either prevent it or limit it. I don't, because I don't care, and I know most people don't either, because it's really quite involved to get to those settings and set them. Most people don't know. So I would say by easily 30 days, in my opinion. So if you're concerned about where that phone was yesterday, the day before, a week or two ago, and even if it's right now, InstantID.io can answer all your questions. That's what people love about it. And, they keep adding things to it. Like you could search by reverse phone lookup. So if you see a telephone number pop up on someone's phone, or maybe it's written down someplace, you can go to InstantID.io and search for reverse phone lookup. It'll give you all the information associated with that person that's available. First name, last name, street address, license, maybe criminal records or sex offender records. Anything that's, associated with a number will be gathered. Also, there's email search, there's social media search. You'll be able to search for social media profiles using this very same site. I'm telling you, when it comes to finding people, finding cell phones and getting information, you're not going to find much more that does better than InstantID.io. I mean, they sent us this thing maybe a couple of weeks ago to test, and they give us, the new features from time to time. But I got to tell you, what they have done with the artificial intelligence with this thing over the past 2 to 3 weeks is amazing. And this thing with getting GPS history has only come out maybe a week ago. And from what they're telling me over there, their traffic is just like exploding because so many people want to know the GPS history of that phone, where it has been. This way, if, let's just say, for instance, you feel the need to confront somebody, they may be able to do something today or tomorrow or the next day to try to conceal their location or to make it more difficult for you to find them. But they're not going to be able to change their GPS location. That's stored in the phone. It cannot be changed, and it can't even be accessed by them. It can't. Most people have no idea how to get into that information, and you'd have to get into that information on every app that's tracking your location, which for the average person is just it's a lesson in futility. It's just not going to happen. So, and yeah, this has been around only maybe a week or two, and from what I've seen and heard, yeah, the instant ID is exploding, and rightfully so. What's better than to be able to get the GPS history? They can't lie about it. The phone doesn't lie. They can't do anything to change it. It's already done. And it was probably committed during a time where they had no idea that you were even like thinking something was going on. So, in other words, they were just doing what they normally do. And unbeknownst to them, their phone is tracking and storing their GPS location every single minute. And now that's available to the average person via instant ID. And I think it's a great feature. Now, of course, there are some considerations like what I mentioned with the spy call and remote microphone activation. There are laws in place to protect people like this, from things like this, privacy, like wiretapping laws, and you should always be aware of those before you attempt to use something like spy call or remote microphone activation, because I'm telling you, these things are like law enforcement grade type stuff. So make sure that you know everything about this type of stuff before you go ahead and use it. With the instant ID, to gather someone's GPS location isn't the same type of legal aspect, at least as I understand it, as spy call or remote microphone activation. Of course, you're obtaining someone's GPS location, which is much different than listening to a conversation. The fact is that as long as you thoroughly, we'll say, educate yourself as to the responsibilities associated with using an app like this, both legally, morally, spiritually, whatever you want to say, that's fine. But I know that people are always going to opt to get the truth. That's what they want most of all. And to be quite honest, I can't blame them, because if I've been in situations like that many years ago, and I wish something like instant ID was around, because I definitely would have used it just to find out the truth and get the fuck out of there sooner than I did. And I remember when I was dealing with stuff like that, the thing that bothered me more than anything was just the fact that I wasted so much time, and it was so aggravating. Because here I am, I'm trying to tell her, look, I know you're lying to me. Why don't you just tell me the truth? And she would swear up and down, oh, no, it's only you, it's only you. And then one night I had this guy knock on my passenger side window when she and I just got back from eating dinner, and he dumped everything on her. He dumped everything on me. He basically sold her out, said, this is what's been going on, this, and this. And I remember saying to her, you fucking, everything that I've been asking you for the past months, whatever, and you kept lying to me time after time after time. I was so angry because I should have listened to my gut. And if Instant ID or ProSpy were around back then, I absolutely would have used them, and I would have had all my answers within just a few days instead of wasting fucking months. That's what annoys me about it, and I'm sure that's what annoys you people as well. You just get annoyed that someone is going to lie to you. It's insulting. You're wasting time. All you really want is the truth, so this way you can move on. And that's what we try to do here, give you examples of other people's situations, how they have handled it, and how it turned out good for them, the tools that they use, the tactics, the methods, the ideology, anything at all that can help you guys out. The only thing I exclude here is anything having to do with violence, because trust me, I get a lot of that stuff here, not so much through the comments, but through the DMs and through the emails and things. Yeah, we get a lot where, they just, it's very aggressive and violent, and that I don't share because I don't agree with it. You should never, ever, ever get violent with anybody, never get aggressive. Your purpose here, or my purpose, I should say, is to give you the information, or at least to notify you or advise you as the tools and the methods and things like that are available that would help you find out the truth. So this way, you don't go on wasting months. And when you do find the truth, my advice to everybody is cheating cannot be forgiven. I don't care. You might try, and you'll waste 2 years, and eventually you'll be at the same spot you were right today, which is like, fuck this, I'm leaving. But quite often people want to try to work things out for the family, the kids, the business, whatever the case may be. Maybe they just don't want to lose. They don't want this other person to have their spouse. But I've seen this before. What happens is that you're willing to put everything aside, your pride, your dignity, your self-respect, your sense of self-worth, for the sake of the marriage, the kids, and everything else. But eventually, the bitterness wins out. The trust, the lack of trust wins out. You just cannot be with this person anymore. because you get to the point where you don't believe a word they say unless you can actually see it for yourself. I remember a friend of mine said to me, because Pat, if my wife told me the sky was blue, I'd have to look up and check for myself before I would ever believe her. And he said I realized that was no way to live, so I got the hell out of there. I'm like, good for you. And that's why these are the things I share with you. Don't be in a situation like that. Trust is the bedrock of any relationship. And if someone is willing to violate, to betray that trust for the sake of, personal satisfaction or just to ruin your family and everything, they're not worth it. They're not worth it. You deserve something better. Move on. Get the truth and move on.